Stop. Just stop. Before your finger moves one more inch down that screen, answer me this. What if everything you believed about goodness was a carefully designed trap? What if your kindness isn't your strength, but the invisible chain slowly draining your life force? Does being good keep you safe? Does kindness shield you from harm? Does generosity breed loyalty? Does honesty command respect? If even one yes whispered through your mind, then brace yourself. You're living inside the most destructive illusion society ever sold you. And every day you believe it, you're bleeding out, slowly, invisibly, fatally. The world taught you that goodness equals safety. They lied. Here's what no one dares to tell you. Goodness isn't a shield. It's a wildfire. It consumes everything in its path. Your relationships turn to ash. Your career crumbles. Your dreams vanish into smoke. And you stand there wondering why being good feels like self-destruction. Because it is. Uncontrolled goodness doesn't protect you. It devours you. Like fire given too much oxygen, it burns through boundaries, through self-respect, through the very foundation of who you are, until nothing remains but the charred outline of the person you used to be. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He didn't read about it in books. He watched it unfold in blood and betrayal. Good leaders toppled from power. Kind rulers murdered by their own subjects. Generous souls destroyed by the very people they lifted up. He witnessed the pattern. The same tragic story, repeating endlessly. And he documented every painful lesson. Today, I'm going to share what he discovered. The hidden cost of goodness that everyone ignores. The price you pay every single day without realizing it. In the next few minutes, you'll understand why your goodness weakens you. Why people don't respect your kindness, they weaponize it against you. Why every act of generosity makes you more vulnerable, not more loved. But most critically, you'll learn how to transform goodness from a fatal weakness into lethal power. Let me be crystal clear. I'm not teaching you to become cruel. I'm not asking you to harm anyone. That's not power, that's just damage. What I'm revealing is how to be good strategically, not blindly. Because in a world crawling with predators, being defenseless prey gets you torn apart. Every single time. Write this down. Say it out loud. Drop it in the comments. I choose strategic goodness. From this moment, everything shifts. You stop giving blindly. You stop being everyone's emotional punching bag. You stop confusing weakness with virtue. You become dangerous in the best possible way, good but untouchable. In this video, we're exposing why goodness doesn't protect you, why it often destroys you, and exactly how to alchemize it into genuine, unshakable power. Let's begin with the first brutal truth. Think about the kindest person you know. Now ask yourself honestly, are they respected? Or are they just the person everyone calls when they need something? The emotional ATM, the free therapist, the backup plan. Here's what's really happening. Being consistently good makes you predictable. Predictable means exploitable. When people know you'll always forgive, always help, always say yes, they stop respecting you. They start calculating. How much can we take before they break? Your kindness becomes their opportunity. Your goodness becomes their weapon. And you? You become invisible except when they need something. That's not respect. That's not love. That's strategic extraction. When you're reliably kind, you telegraph your moves. People read you like an open book with pages missing. They know exactly where your boundaries should be, and they know you won't defend them. You've trained them. Push harder and I'll fold. Ask more and I'll give. Hurt me and I'll forgive. Being good didn't make you safe. It made you a target. They know you won't say no. They know they can push you around because you're too nice to do anything about it. You become the office doormat, the friend who always pays for dinner, the family member who always says yes to helping even when it hurts you. Let me tell you about someone. The best team manager I ever witnessed. He poured everything into his team, covered their mistakes like they were his own, put their needs before his oxygen. You know what happened? They promoted someone else. Someone harder. Someone less giving. Why? Because nice people don't look like leaders. They look like servants waiting for orders. People don't respect your goodness. They calculate with it, Think about this carefully. When someone is always available to help, their help becomes background noise. When someone never sets boundaries, people don't just cross them. They bulldoze right through and set up camp on the other side. When someone never shows teeth, people assume there's nothing but gums underneath. Your goodness becomes a neon sign flashing, "Use me. I won't stop you." Machiavelli saw this clearly when he said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. You've been trying to survive as a sheep in a world designed for predators. And that's exactly why you keep waking up with bite marks you can't explain." Drop this in the comments. I protect my energy. Now here's the second brutal truth. The generosity trap. Brace yourself for this one because it's going to flip everything you believe upside down. The more you give to people, the less they value it. I know your brain is screaming that this is wrong, but stay with me. Generosity creates instant applause. People clap. They praise you. They broadcast to everyone how wonderful you are. That dopamine hit feels incredible, doesn't it? But here's what happens beneath the surface. Slowly, like rust eating through metal, your generosity breeds three things: dependency, entitlement, and eventually, resentment. Yes, resentment. The very people you help will end up resenting you. Let me show you exactly how this poison works. When you help someone once, they're grateful. Genuinely grateful. When you help them twice, they're still thankful. Still warm. But by the 10th time, something shifts. Your exceptional kindness becomes their baseline. Your extraordinary becomes their ordinary. And here's the knife twist. If you ever stop, they don't tally up the 9 times you showed up. They fixate on the 1 time you didn't. Suddenly you're selfish. Suddenly you're the villain, the ungrateful one. Think about parents who give their children everything. The first few gifts spark genuine joy. Eyes wide, voices high, gratitude pouring out. But watch what happens. Those gifts morph into expectations. The new phone isn't a blessing anymore. It's just what parents do. And the moment mom or dad says no, rage, accusations. You're so unfair. Everyone else's parents. The pattern repeats everywhere. Friendships. You always grab the check. Always play chauffeur. Always show up with your truck when someone needs to move. At first, appreciation flows. But eventually, silence. No more thank yous. Just assumptions. Just you handling it because that's what you do. And the moment you need something back, "Oh, I'm swamped. Maybe next time." This is the generosity trap in full color. You give until giving becomes who you are. Until people can't see you without seeing a resource. And the moment you stop, or God forbid, need something yourself, you transform into the enemy in everyone's narrative. Your constant generosity doesn't forge loyalty. It breeds addiction. People become dependent on your giving like a drug. And like any addict cut off from their supply, they don't understand. They just rage at the withdrawal. Here's the psychology underneath it all. Humans experience something called hedonic adaptation. We adjust to positive conditions frighteningly fast. What felt special on Monday feels normal by Friday. What felt generous in January feels expected by March. So your repeated acts of kindness actually corrode their own impact. They fade into wallpaper. People stop registering them because they're always there. But that single no, that one boundary, that detonates like a flare in their mind. That's what burns into memory. That's what they dissect with friends. That's what they weaponize against you. Watch how this plays out everywhere. At work, stay late consistently and it becomes your default setting. Nobody applauds anymore. But leave on time once? Wow! Nice of you to join us in having a life. Guess the project isn't that important. In relationships, always compromise and flexibility becomes your role. But hold firm once? Why are you being so difficult? This isn't like you. Machiavelli crystallized this perfectly. Benefits ought to be conferred gradually, and in that way they will taste better. The man grasps something most people die without learning. Scarcity manufactures value. Abundance annihilates it. When you're always available, you become furniture. When you're selective, you become significant. Drop this in the comments. I give strategically. Now the third brutal truth. The mask of virtue. Prepare yourself because this one cuts deeper than the others. Society doesn't reward reality. It rewards appearances. People don't care about your actual goodness. They care about visible goodness. They don't judge the contents of your heart. They judge the performance you put on, which means maintaining power and respect requires wearing the mask of virtue while keeping iron control underneath. Examine the people at the top. The ones with real influence, real respect, real power. You think they climbed there through genuine niceness to everyone they met? Think again. They mastered the art of strategic goodness. When to deploy it, how to display it, who deserves to receive it. They smile for the cameras and make ruthless calls behind closed doors. They extend mercy when it serves their interests and bare their teeth when necessary. They've cracked the code. The appearance of virtue outperforms actual virtue every single time. This isn't about becoming a fraud. This is about becoming deliberate. Consider a surgeon. She slices through your flesh to save your life. Is she being sadistic? Absolutely not. She's doing what survival demands, even when it inflicts temporary agony. Real leaders grasp this paradox. Sometimes genuine goodness requires looking temporarily cruel. Sometimes truly helping someone means denying them what they want. Sometimes protecting your people means becoming unpopular. The virtue mask isn't deception. It's calibration. It's knowing precisely when to reveal your compassion and when to reveal your edge. Most people invert this completely. They expose their vulnerabilities to adversaries and their power to allies. Intelligent people reverse the formula. Machiavelli stated it perfectly. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. He understood that perception manufactures reality. If people perceive weakness in you, weakness becomes your truth. If they perceive strength, strength becomes your identity. Drop this in the comments. I control my image. Fourth brutal truth. The economics of power. Everything carries a price tag. Every favor extended. Every yes when your body screamed no. Every hour spent solving someone else's problems instead of building your own empire. Good people rarely calculate this cost. They pour themselves out until the tank hits empty. Then confusion hits. Why this exhaustion? Why this resentment? Why does helping feel like drowning? Here's the equation you need burned into your mind. Your time, energy, and resources are brutally finite. Every unit spent on others subtracts from your own reserves. Acknowledging this isn't selfishness. It's arithmetic. It's physics. Unlimited kindness operates like a battery with no recharge. Drain it completely and you become useless to everyone, yourself included. Remember airline safety protocol. Secure your own oxygen mask before assisting others. Why that sequence? Because if you lose consciousness trying to save someone first, now two people are suffocating instead of one. Existence follows identical rules. Deplete yourself rescuing others and you transform from asset to liability, from helper to helped, from strength to burden. Intelligent people understand survival and thriving demand fierce resource protection. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you sustainable. It makes you dangerous in the way that matters, capable over the long haul. I discovered this through pain. For years, my default answer was yes. Every request, every favor, every got a quick second? That devoured hours. I genuinely believed this was goodness in action. You know what actually happened? Resentment grew like mold in dark corners. Bitterness crystallized. My own projects withered from neglect. My own dreams got shoved further down the waiting list. And here's the twisted irony. I became worse at helping the people who genuinely needed me. That's when the realization detonated. Saying yes to everyone is saying no to yourself. And when you betray yourself long enough, you eventually betray everyone else too. You become empty, used up, nothing left to give. The most impactful, generous people throughout history weren't yes machines. They were no specialists who said no to thousands of things so they could say yes to the right things with devastating force. Machiavelli understood this when he wrote, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. You cannot command others while you can't command your own time, energy, and resources. You cannot lead anyone if you haven't learned to lead yourself first. Drop this in the comments. I protect my resources. Fifth truth, and this one transforms everything. Strategic deployment of virtue. Listen carefully. I'm not advocating heartlessness. I'm not suggesting you discard mercy, honesty, and generosity like trash. What I'm telling you is these virtues must be wielded like weapons. Precisely, at the exact right moment, for maximum impact. A sword mounted on a wall protects nobody. But that same sword in a trained warrior's hands at the critical second saves kingdoms. Your goodness should operate identically. When you help someone, make it intentional. When you show mercy, make it strategic. When you're generous, engineer the outcome you want. Consider this reframe. Instead of sprinkling help on everyone like weak rain, concentrate it on the right people like a monsoon. Instead of being pleasant to everyone, be exceptionally devoted to those who matter. Instead of yes to everything, deliver a powerful yes to things aligned with your vision. This approach generates 3 critical results. First, your help becomes valuable because scarcity creates worth. Second, you generate genuinely larger positive impacts through concentration. Third, people respect you more because selectivity signals importance. Examine history's most respected leaders. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't treat injustice gently. He confronted it with force. Mother Teresa didn't attempt helping everyone on earth. She focused with laser intensity on the poorest of the poor. These were profoundly good people, but they were strategically good. They understood something most never grasp. They wielded virtue as a tool for transformation, not as a popularity strategy. Here's how you implement this in actual life. Before your mouth forms yes to any request, interrogate it with 3 questions. Does this align with my values and goals? Can I do this without draining my reserves? Will this person value and respect what I'm offering? If even one answer is no, your response isn't just no. It's a kind but immovable no. When you do say yes, commit completely. Pour in your best effort. Generate genuine value. Create meaningful impact. This way your yes carry weight. Your help embeds in memory. Your generosity builds loyalty rather than breeding entitlement. Machiavelli wrote, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." Translation: sometimes honoring your commitment to one person requires disappointing another. Sometimes being good to your family demands firmness with colleagues. Sometimes protecting your vision means letting down people who want to colonize your time. Strategic virtue isn't selfishness. It's effectiveness weaponized for good. Drop this in the comments. I choose effective kindness. Sixth brutal truth. The gratitude mirage. This will fundamentally alter how you understand human nature. Gratitude has a shelf life. I know this stings, but it's undeniable truth. The favors you extend, the help you provide, the sacrifices you make, they expire in people's memories like milk left out. Repeated favors stop registering as gifts and mutate into obligations. What begins as "thank you so much" degrades into "you should do this," and finally rots into "why didn't you do this?" You help your neighbor move. They overflow with gratitude. 6 months later, you help them move again. Still appreciative, but the shine's gone. Third time, expectation replaces excitement. Fourth time they need to move, they don't ask anymore. They assume. And if you're unavailable, you're suddenly the villain in their story. This is human wiring. We habituate to positive treatment. We normalize it. We recalibrate our baseline so exceptional kindness becomes standard operating procedure. Eventually, people remember the advantage they extracted from you, not the heart you showed them. This pattern infects every domain: relationships, workplaces, friendships, families. The perpetual yes person becomes the automatic yes assumption. The dependable helper becomes the default solution for every crisis. And when that person finally erects a boundary or speaks the word no, they're prosecuted as if they've committed treason. The more reliably kind you are, the less your kindness registers as valuable. It becomes invisible infrastructure. noticed only when it breaks. The more available you make yourself, the less your availability matters. The more you give without requesting reciprocity, the more people assume your giving costs you nothing. This is the gratitude illusion. We believe accumulating good deeds accumulates gratitude. But the equation inverts. More good deeds generate less gratitude because people recalibrate expectations upward. The people who value you most? Often the ones you help least frequently. The people who take you for granted? Usually the ones you help most consistently. This doesn't indict human morality. It reveals human psychology. Humans naturally adjust expectations based on patterns. Recognizing this reality doesn't demand abandoning kindness or helpfulness. It demands strategic deployment. Establish boundaries. Make your help conditional occasionally. Allow people to experience your absence. Let them solve problems without you as the safety net. Machiavelli observed, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel." Translation: people register present actions more vividly than they recall past generosity. Your historical kindness fades to invisible. Your current choices define their judgment. Drop this in the comments. I create lasting impact. Seventh brutal truth. Results eclipse intentions. The world scores outcomes, not motives. Your heart might radiate pure gold. Your intentions might be flawless. But if your actions fail to generate desired results, none of that registers. History archives people who delivered results. It forgets people who merely meant well. Consider this question carefully. Would you prefer being remembered as genuinely nice but largely ineffective, or appearing demanding but genuinely improving the world? Most choose the first option because it feels emotionally safer. But here's what they miss. Being remembered as just nice equals being forgotten completely, because there's a harsh but irrefutable reality. Sometimes authentic goodness requires actions that appear harsh in the immediate moment. Surface-level kindness manufactures temporary comfort. Difficult decisions forge lasting transformation. The parent who enforces discipline isn't expressing cruelty. They're practicing goodness by embedding crucial lessons. The teacher who assigns challenging grades isn't being sadistic. They're conditioning students for reality's demands. The manager who maintains rigorous standards isn't being tyrannical. They're catalyzing team evolution toward strength. Genuine goodness prioritizes results over appearances. It's about engineering positive outcomes, not just positive sensations. This is where most well-intentioned people derail. They optimize for being liked rather than being effective. They chase approval instead of impact. Where most well-intentioned people derail identifies the failure point. Optimize for being liked rather than being effective uses tech language. Chase approval instead of impact is alliterative and punchy. Good ending that diagnoses the core problem. They prioritize comfort over expansion. They select temporary tranquility over enduring transformation. But here's the unvarnished truth. If your goodness isn't generating the results you want, you're not being good enough. You're being nice. There's a chasm between the two. Nice people dodge conflict. Good people navigate through conflict to resolution. Nice people serve comfortable lies. Good people deliver uncomfortable truths. Nice people preserve existing conditions. Good people architect change. The world overflows with nice people who build nothing lasting. What civilization desperately needs is good people who manifest results. Machiavelli declared, "The end justifies the means." Before you recoil, understand what he actually meant. This isn't permission for evil tactics toward good outcomes. It's a recognition that your sterling intentions become worthless if they produce no tangible results. People don't inhabit your internal world of good intentions. They inhabit the reality shaped by your actions' consequences. Real goodness demands courage. Bone-deep courage. It demands prioritizing outcomes over optics. It demands retiring the question, "Will they approve of me?" and embracing the question, "Will this actually improve reality?" Eventually, people forget your intentions like morning fog. They remember what you constructed, what you transformed, and what remains after you're gone. Drop this in the comments. I focus on outcomes. Eighth brutal truth: legacy and survival. Let's examine what genuinely matters, how history will file you away, and what artifacts of your existence persist. History doesn't memorialize the merely pleasant. It memorializes those who survived, persisted, and alchemized their survival into significance. Conduct this experiment. Name 5 historically nice people. Struggling? Now name 5 who engineered lasting transformation, even if they were occasionally abrasive. Easy, right? Steve Jobs didn't earn his reputation through niceness. He was exacting, perfectionist, relentlessly demanding. Yet he birthed products that reconfigured how billions of humans exist. I'm not prescribing cruelty. I'm stating that being remembered for generating meaningful difference surpasses being forgotten for being accommodating. Here's what escapes most people about legacy. You can't inscribe positive marks on existence if you don't survive long enough to wield the chisel. And survival, in commerce, in relationships, in life's arena, requires more than goodness. It demands intelligence, strategy, and selective ruthlessness.